Hello students, I am Sanjay Mathapati, Assistant Professor, MC Department, IICMR. Welcome back to the video series on Python programming, section 8.6 of the concept of object-oriented programming in Python. In earlier sections, we have discussed about the concept of class, object, constructors and destructors, overloading and overriding concept, then concept of inheritance, uh, such as multiple inheritance, single, multi-level, and hierarchical. Students, we know about how to access the different types of attributes from the class. So attributes of class can also be accessed using some of the built-in methods or the functions. So in this section, you will learn about following built-in functions used uh, to access the different types of attributes, such as GateAttribute, setattr, HasAttribute, and deleteattribute, that is delattr. Let's discuss about the GateAttribute function. Here, this function is used to access the attribute of the object. So this is the syntax to use the GateAttribute. Object is the name of the object, and name is attribute name, which must be enclosed in the single quote, or it must has to be passed as a string with respect to that object. And default, so whenever we don't have that attribute present in the class, if we want that get attribute should not return any error, and it should return some default value, so we can mention the default option, or we can use the default option with respect to this get attribute function. So the syntax or the example, get attribute x comma attr is somewhat equivalent to object x dot attribute. So yeah, this is the example which is used to demonstrate the how get attribute function works. So class is defined, and its attribute blood group containing the value b plus, that is b positive, and there are two different methods. One is constructor and other one is the display method. So here object s is instantiated by the constructor by passing the value string comma value, that is first string is for the name, and second one is as is. So this is how we are going to access the attributes of the class with respect to object s by using s.display, and in display method we are using, or we are accessing the attributes self.name and self.age. But we can also access the same attributes of the class with respect to object s by using the function getAttribute. So we can just call that function along with the print statement, getAttribute object name s comma the attribute name. Similarly here object name s comma age. One thing we have to remember in this case, that if the attribute does not present in that particular class, then get attribute returns attribute error. To avoid that, if you want, you can use the default clause, that is get attribute object comma the attribute to be extracted comma the default value, just to avoid the attribute error if attribute is not present, what to be done. And here you can see the output s.display display function is called, and here the output using getAttribute. So values displayed with respect to the attributes are same in both the cases. Now another function, hasAttribute. So hasAttribute is used to check the existence of a specific attribute in that particular class with respect to the given object. So this is what the syntax hasAttribute object comma name. So your name is of course the name of the attribute, which has to be written in the form of string. Here this is the example. Here you can see name and age, these are the two attributes of the given class, and this is similar to the previous example, that object.display. So your display method is going to access the name and age, both the attributes with respect to the object s. Now we can see we have used hasAttribute s dot s comma name and hasAttribute s comma age. So output of the hasAttribute function is always in terms of true or false. So as name and age, both the attributes are present in the class, the output is returned by hasAttribute function is true. While we have used hasAttribute s comma blood group is not a part of this class right now. That is with respect to object, no blood group attribute present in this class. So the output returned is as a false. So hasAttribute generally returns the output in terms of true or false. That if attribute present in the class, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. SetAttribute. Now this is exactly the counterpart of the getAttribute. So setAttribute is used to set the values for a specific attribute with respect to specific object. So here is the syntax, that object is the name of object, is the name of the attribute, again which is in the form of string, and the value which has to be set with respect to that object. So here x comma attribute comma 123, this is somewhat equivalent to the x dot attribute equals to 123, where 123 is the value which is assigned to the attribute attr with respect to the object x. So here this is a program to demonstrate how setAttribute function works. So we have used a class student, name and age are the attributes of the class. Now s is the object we have instantiated with the help of constructor. We have passed the values string and values for name and age. Now we have executed setAttribute s comma name comma Nilesh and s comma age comma 45. So Nilesh and 45, these are the two values passed for the attributes name and age with respect to object s. Now one thing is important. Here we have used setAttribute s comma blood group comma B positive. So B positive is the value for the attribute blood group, but the attribute is not present in the class. So setAttributes takes care that when a specific attribute is not present in the class, then setAttribute function creates that attribute, or that attribute gets newly added with respect to that particular object in the class. And we can see the output over here. Before using the setAttribute function, we have used s.display which is showing only two values, but after using the setAttributes we have used s.display which is showing the three attributes. And we know that how to check the attributes of the class just by using object dot the dict function, which will show whether that attribute is a part of that class or not. So just to verify, we have used s dot dict function, which is again inbuilt functions, which shows that the blood group attribute newly added into the class. Of course the new attributes get added with respect to setAttribute only when that class allows us, or the if object implements the dict method with respect to that class, then only it can be implemented, otherwise it is not been added into the class. Now the next function, delattr. The syntax for the delattr is object comma name. So here delattr function is used to remove or delete the attribute from that class. So object is the name of object, comma name is the attribute deleted. Here the example something like the delattr x comma attr. So x is the object and attr is the attribute, which is equivalent to del x dot attr. We have already seen this part in our first video session. This is the program which is used to demonstrate how del attr function works. So again, with respect to the previous slide, the same example we have taken, name and age are the two attributes of the given class, and s is the object instantiated using the values Sanjay and 30. So Sanjay is given to name and 30 is given to age. Here we have used s.display to display the contents of name and age. Now we have used delattr, that is del attribute function, s comma age. That means we would like to remove the attribute age or delete the attribute age with respect to this particular object. Now see the output. Before using the del attribute, we are able to display name and age, while after using the del attribute, we have used just to check whether that particular attribute exists in the class or not. So has attribute s comma name and has attribute s comma age. So you can see in the output that we have deleted the attribute age, so it returns false, while the name is present, so it returns true. Again, with respect to this particular object, we can also check s dot dict function, which is showing only one attribute present in that particular class, name. So this is how del attribute is used to delete the given attribute with respect to the given object. So students, this is the end of section 6. We have discussed about some built-in functions like getAttribute, setattr, HasAttribute, and delattr with respect to the class. So keep watching my videos for further sessions. Thank you.